In the last video, we introduced statistics, parameters, and inferences. And this lecture is going to be completely dedicated to going through examples of each of those things. Let's get started. Now, if you ever want to talk about statistics and parameters, you got to remember we need a sample and a population first. So let's start with this population. We're going to have all the people who live in my house. Now, you should probably know who lives in my house right now. Me, my wife, and my son. Now, my sample is going to be kind of small here. It's just going to be my wife, Amanda. So that's my sample. It is a group within my population. Now, here is a measure of an attribute of that sample. My statistic is that 100% of my sample is female. So Amanda is female. So that is a statistic because it is a measure of my sample, my group within the population. Now here's an inference. 100% of people living in my house are female. This is an inference because I'm taking that statistic that I gathered and I'm projecting it to the entire population. So because 100% of my sample is women, then 100% of the people in my house are women. But again, from the last lecture, we learned that a sample that has a good representation of the population means that you're going to get a statistic that is a good representation of the parameter. So in this case, my sample is not a good representation of my population, and so this inference is probably not a very good one. Let's actually see what the actual fact of the matter is. So it turns out that 33% of the people living in my house are females because I am certainly a male and my son is certainly a male. So in this case, only 1/3 of my population is female. Now, if you notice, I just measured my population, so that would be called a parameter. If I measure the population, it's a parameter. If I measure the sample, it's a statistic. Let's do another example. In this case, I'm going to be talking about people who currently live in the US. That's my population. That's a pretty big population. It includes about 350 million people. Now my sample is going to be 100 people on some random list of phone numbers that live within the US. Now amongst those 100 people, it turns out that 75% of that sample said that they were Christian. So 75% of those 100 people are self-proclaimed Christian. That is a statistic because I gathered information about my sample. Now let's say I project that information using an inference and I make a claim about the parameter. Therefore, 75% of Americans are self-proclaimed Christians because amongst those 100 people I interviewed, 75% of them were Christians. So 75% of all Americans are self-proclaimed Christians. Well, hold on there. We have a problem. Here's the problem. How would I know what portion of the US is self-proclaimed Christian? Did I interview them? Did I interview you? Are you American? Because if you are, I probably didn't interview you. I have lots of students. There's a lot of people. There's like 350 million people here. There's a huge problem here. How do I know what the parameter is? So here's the idea. I can call 100 people, but I can't hunt down all 350 million. And so if I call 100 people, I'm gathering information about 100 people. I'm not gathering information about 350 million of them. That's not to say I can't make a guess about Americans, though. Although I don't know every American and I don't know how much percent of Americans are self-proclaimed Christians, the projection of my statistic to that parameter is a decent guess. I can say that maybe 75% of Americans are self-proclaimed Christians because 75% of my sample was self-proclaimed Christians. That educated guess is our example of an inference. Remember, this class is called statistics, not parameters, simply because we're not superhumans. We can't go around and interview every single person we want to. We can't gather all the information, but we can at least guess about large populations. And that is why statistics is the name of this course. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next lecture. You just watched a video from Amour Learning. We provide free math videos, and we offer many online courses. We also provide free math tutoring via YouTube Live every Thursday and Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video to get access to all of our free content. And put a comment in the comment section if you have any math questions. Check out all of our courses on amourlearning.org.